Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back again to Classic Sci. I know it's been a while, and I feel an explanation is due. So, in this video I'm going to be talking about where I've been, what I've been up to, and sort of explaining my reasons as to why you should not hang me for my offences to, well, state and king and queen, really. First and foremost, I think we should start, shall we say... Oh no, before I go anywhere, I'd like to wish a happy birthday to one Isabel, aka Angel, from myself, and what I presume is her friend called Star on Twitter, who asked me to do this. So happy birthday, Isabel. I hope it was a lovely one. I imagine this is quite late to the occasion, but better late than never, eh? Anyway, there is a reason why it's late, as I will go on to mention in a moment. So, starting from the top, back when December rolled around and I still had content rolling out, I came back from university and I was at my family's house for a while, just sort of chilling out, doing things, and generally sort of socializing with family members. You know, it's a time, you know, where you meet family members you haven't seen in a while, uncles, great uncles, yada yada yada. And I spent it just absorbed a lot more time than I expected. I was just too tired in the evenings when I came home. Visited some nice Christmas markets while I was out, tried some nice stuff. Very nice, little nippy, but very nice. And after that, after sort of just being generally busy with reality, the internet decided to fail on me completely. I have no idea why. But what was eventually sussed out to happen was the landline, which is basically the hard connection to not just our house or my parents' house, it's not actually my university house, had a fault on it, and it was to the entire street. But that wasn't sussed out until much later, or at least several weeks later, when I eventually complained to my parents' ISP, because they weren't going to do it, were they? But yes, ping spiking anywhere up to 2k, and I was getting packet loss, and I don't even want to mention the upload and download speed. It was just disgusting. So I have actually tried, on that note, to put up an update video sooner than this, but let's just say the upload speed was so atrocious it was not worth me keeping my computer on all that time to get it up, and there was no guarantee it was ever going to make it up in the first place. So yeah, I've had to be a little bit mom on this for now, at least on YouTube. If you wanted to stay updated on such developments as this in the future, you can follow me on my Twitter. I've been active on there, and I've been sort of mentioning this stuff and bemoaning it and complaining and bitching away in my usual fashion. I'm a complete bitch queen. So yeah, you can listen to my ramblings and rantings about things going wrong in reality, to your heart's content until you vomit from your eyeballs. After the internet had decided to play up and make some general complaints in my direction, things were still not looking good, because at that time my family decided to entirely fall ill with a variety of things, which they inevitably passed on to me. I will say, I will not go into the details, but should we just say that a few days ago it was not pleasant in the slightest. I was dead to the world. And yeah, I'm not going to say any more on the subject. It was not nice. So yeah, I was literally incapable of doing anything at that point, and I'm still recovering a little bit, still a little bit delicate after that. I have my family to thank for that sharing. I suppose it is that time of year, isn't it? But with all that behind me, things are going to start going a lot more smoothly now for us, hopefully, on the channel. I've already got some content recorded and edited, both single player and multiplayer, with certain people that you've already seen before, and that should be going up, well, following this video, I guess. This is the video I intend to be the very first one to come back after my hiatus, as I'm going to call it, my impromptu hiatus. And yeah, that should be good. It's fairly good content. It's some new content. It's nothing that, well, one of them is, the multiplayer is something that we've done before. It's a staple, but the single player is something new, so look forward to that if you wish. I would not want to sort of push stuff on anyone. The expectation to be excited, by all means. I mean, there certainly is nothing that you would expect of me So also regarding content on the channel, you may know by this point that I play a lot of MMOs in my time. I'm a prolific MMO player and I've always got an MMO on the go. Up until recently, as the content may have indicated, that has been RuneScape. I went back to RuneScape sometime in 2015 I think, and I stayed around for a year again. And I do this a lot. I will jump between MMOs and just go with whatever takes my fancy. They very rarely hold my attention. I've played over 20 different MMOs in my time, but only perhaps 3 or 4 of them have actually held my attention for any meaningful duration of time. And I've generally bounced between those, well, it's more like 3 really, I guess. And I've done it again. I've bounced. RuneScape's lost my interest. I maxed out my main character, I think sometime in 2016. And for those who don't speak the lingo, maxing out means basically completing the game in an effective sense. It's not 100% completion, but then I'm not a completionist. I play until I've had enough and I'm not enjoying it anymore, and then I move on. And that's what I'm doing now. So where am I moving on to? I'm moving on to an MMO that I've already played. Surprise, surprise. There's nothing really new on the horizon, so I'm back playing Guild Wars again. Guild Wars 2 specifically. And it's good. I've got the expansion for it. I'm having fun playing it. And it's generally quite nice to play. I don't know whether or not we're going to be doing any content on Guild Wars 2. If you know about Guild Wars 2 and if you've seen it, if you're going to look it up and get into it, by all means let me know if you want to see content on it, and I sure as shit can roll that out. But again, you guys need to tell me these things. You want to see it, you gotta tell me. And likewise, if you like what you see, you gotta tell me, because otherwise I don't know. I have no idea. I just have to play a guessing game and just generally do whatever the fuck I want, and you know, just take the figures as they come in, which is pretty much how I've been doing it anyway, I guess. But that's part and parcel for the whole package of YouTubing, isn't it? Is, well, YouTube gaming, I guess, is that you play games that you enjoy, because if you don't enjoy it, then the content suffers for it. So yeah, it's a good starting block. Anyway, and that's that. And as a knock-on effect, as you might expect, I am no longer going to be doing, or rather I'm going to be discontinuing, I'm not saying it's gone forever, but I'm discontinuing the RuneScape Quest series that I was doing on my secondary character, Whimsy, dear Whimsy. She's retired for the moment. She's on holiday somewhere, don't know where, take your pick, Karamja maybe, whilst I'm off doing things in Guild Wars 2 and I'm enjoying myself over there. So apologies if you're enjoying that series. There weren't many of you that were enjoying it, so I don't feel too bad about that. And again, as I said, I can do similar content with Guild Wars 2. There is definitely room for that. Or I could just record myself doing my usual stuff from Guild Wars 2, bumming around, shouting at people, generally getting annoyed with the game and such, if you really want to see me just talking a load of arse as I usually do. Yeah, that's entirely possible as well. So one last note before I get onto the questions. I may be taking Sundays off as well as Saturday, and the reason is just simply because I feel I overestimated, and I feel a lot of people overestimate how much work goes into actually making or keeping consistent content rolling out on the channel, particularly when you're one guy doing it alone. You know, with people, but you're the one who's doing the legwork effectively. It takes a lot of work, put it that way. It takes a lot of my time to do this, and whilst I enjoy it, I also enjoy bitching about it. It's still a lot of time, and I might need to downscale, and that will result in Sunday not having content. There may still be content on Sundays, but it wouldn't be consistent. So yeah, I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen, but it may happen. So there you go, forewarned. So the first question in this list is by someone who has brackets for names, so I'm just going to call you Peachy, because that's the colour of your hair in your icon. So Peachy asks, do you enjoy sports? And if so, what sport? As you can tell from my reaction, no. I played a little bit of football as any kid did when I was younger, and I kind of had a penchant for cricket also when I was a little bit younger. But no, I'm a nerd, a lazy nerd who sits on his arse all day. I do have an interest, I will say though, in, it's not really a sport, it's more like a recreational thing, called HEMA, capitalized. It stands for Historical European Martial Arts, and whilst it's not something I've yet to get into, it's something I want to get into. In short, what it is it's the historical research and reenactment or practice of medieval fighting techniques or medieval or Western martial arts, as opposed to Eastern, which is all you see these days, like judo, ninjutsu, and God, what else? So it's using actual medieval and late to early Renaissance weaponry, and looking at the treatises that were written by people on how these were used. They weren't just weapons that you just flail at people, unless it is a flail, I guess. They there was an art to it, and these people wrote about it in the day. Back in the day, I'm talking about 1500s. We have treatises that have been written on how they're used, and HEMA is about how it's used and reenacting that. And I'd like to do that. I like swinging things around, and at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. It's just an excuse to swing a metal sword around, and who the fuck doesn't want to do that? So I think that's the closest thing that comes to it, and I've yet to engage with it, but it's something of the future, because you first stumbling block is getting a sword, and those are quite expensive because you have to go to a specialist blacksmith, usually in like Poland or the Czech Republic. So yes, that's as close as I get to sport, swinging around with a piece of metal. Okay, so the next one. The Fridge asks, will you play FPS games? Personally, I'd recommend Borderlands or anything comedic, 'cause I love seeing you guys and the people you play with happy. And thank you for the nice words. If I'm playing a first-person shooter game, it is not because it is a first-person shooter game. There are games out there that I have an interest in or have played in the past that were FPS games, but that wasn't the reason why I was playing them. For instance, Uncharted 2. I was playing it for the story and for the characters, and the immersion in the tale, in the story, in the telling. I wasn't playing it for, although technically it's a third-person shooter, but you get what I mean. I also played Crysis too because I enjoyed the setting and I enjoyed the story for the exact same reason. I didn't play it because it was an FPS. Borderlands, I have the second Borderlands, but controversially, I didn't like it. I felt it was gimmicky, and it felt like there were mechanics missing, and it just frustrated me, and you don't want to see that. So, not Borderlands, but maybe in the future, as I say. I'm not against it. If it aligns with my other interests, yeah, definitely. Just don't expect epic montages and shit like that. Okay, so the next question comes from Madison H. Hi, I'd just like to say I love your videos, and I want to ask you this question. From what you've said about your workload for your university, you must work very hard. Did you work hard in high school as well, and did you think it was important to do so? Wow, well that's a loaded question, isn't it? I honestly don't feel, now don't tell the rest of the university this, I don't feel like I work particularly hard. I don't feel like I'm pushed particularly hard. It's just that when the work comes in, it's a deluge. It's, oh god, there's fucking work everywhere! And I have to focus on it. And there's no real way around that because I'm working in a sort of team environment which emulates the industry in the games industry itself. I'm working with people who are artists, people who are animators, people who are designers, and animators, programmers, and of course I'm a writer for games. I do my little wordsies because I'm good with wordsies, or so people tell me. It goes a little bit beyond that, but yeah, you get the idea. So, as you've probably been getting the impression, the answer is kinda no, and I certainly didn't in what we call secondary school over here. Neither primary school. I was a bit of a class clown in primary school, if I'm being honest with you. I was the class clown in primary school, and secondary school was just a mess. So, if I'm being honest, I'd say throughout history I've never really valued education that much, and I know that's a terrible thing to say given that my audience is, some of you are quite young and probably go to school, but it's difficult. It certainly has its advantages, education. It's useful, and this is the thing, if you're interested. And this is what I would always say to people, is focus on the things that you're interested in doing. There's a lot of good things in education and good things in school that you can get attached to and find a career in and really just get completely immersed in. Just don't touch the shit that you don't like, okay? I don't think anyone should be forced to do the things that they are not either good at or they don't enjoy. So in answer to your question, I think it's important, but I think it's also important to remember what it is that brings you joy in this world. But that's just me. Controversial third-party opinion here. Citation needed. Well, no citation needed. It's my own opinion. I don't need to cite my own opinion. It's ridiculous. Well, there we go. That's it. 3 questions, but I gave some fairly long answers, so that kind of makes up for it. As ever, if you want to ask me a question, leave it in the comments below, or similarly, you can tweet me at Twitter with the hashtag #CyanTel, which will appear on screen. And please, if you ask me a question that you want me to answer in this video, please, for the love of God, put the hashtag in there, because otherwise I don't know. I really don't know. And it also helps me just keep organized as to, you know, when I go to make these videos, to actually find the things I need. And thank you as ever for the arts. I don't believe there's a huge amount this time, but hey, you know, festive year, people can put their feet up. Anyway, we're in a new year now. New content coming out. We've got Horizons in front of us, and it's looking good. So, I shall see you then. Thank you.